Hi, this is Deepika Ramesh. I'm presenting a presentation for Usability mobile application. I've chose a research paper for today's presentation. In the eye of beholder, a simulator study of impact of Google Glass on driving performance. Let's start with the presentation. Agenda for today's presentation: Introduction, Background, Results, Findings, My View. Introduction. Variable head-mounted display is a display that is incorporated in a helmet or other variable head component and used to project metaphor onto the visual field of the user. Head-mounted display have been used for decades in militaries and aviation domains to deliver cheap flight or mission information. Google Glass. Google Glass display information in a smartphone-like hands-free format, whereas interconnected with internet via natural language voice commands. In this study, researcher is inspecting whether and to what extent driving is affected reading a text on Google Glass. Reading text involves a high level of visual resources which can interfere with safe driving. However, we are not sure the influence of reading text on head-mounted displays. Some of the head-mounted displays such as Google Glass, Oculus Rift, eye tracking, head-mounted display and Disney Mount. Glass ability. Glass has the ability to deliver many office features of smartphone in hand-free variable piece. It is used in numerous circumstances, such as driving, has a raised concern about the potential for distraction. Usability of HMDS. HMD is a project in the user's field of view, letting them to quickly shift between observing the external world and inspecting the displayed information. An advantage of HMDS over traditional display is that they make information easily accessible, reducing the amount of time user spends looking down to scan information or instruments and reducing user workload. HMDS effects. Having an image projected in a line of sight can, however, mean that the capacity of user to look away from or ignore the information presented on display is limited. This can lead to range of unwanted visual, perceptual or cognitive effects. The information provided on HMDS may also disrupt user visual scanning behavior. The researchers showing that the size of range of user's eye and head movement can be limited by using the head-up symbology. HMDS can also cause problems with visual space or focusing of the eye. HMDS glass. It is unclear if and to what extent the presentation of non-relevant information, which is what occurred with glass, could aggravate the visual or cognitive issues observed with HMDS. Reading text will be a key constituent of using glass. Reading text on electronic device is a task that requires high level of resource, many of which are pooled with driving, visual and manual. It is currently unclear if the influence of reading text on head-mounted displays such as Google Glass will vary from that found with the other outdated head-mounted display, such as dash-mounted smartphone, giving the information displayed is closer to the driver's line of sight. Impact of glass on driving performance. A small number of research studies have examined the impact of glass on driving performance, compared voice-activated text messaging on glass and a smart-based message interface. They found that while the glass qualified some aspects of driving, determined better line keeping when replying to the text and quicker return to normal speed for many drivers measures. Texting on either device impaired presentation compared to when driving and not texting. also found that the reading text on glass and smartphone both increased lane position variation from baseline. Based on the previous glass impact, researchers anticipated that in comparison to smartphone, drivers would rate interpreting text on glasses as less demanding in terms of workload. So researchers performed a small pilot study with simulated driving environment. Methods. Participant for this study: 20 licensed drivers, 16 male, 4 female, aged 22 to 47 years participated in the study. A portion of sample had prior Google Glass experience. Driving simulation. The performance of driving was measured using LCT, that is lane change test. The LCT is a simple driving simulation designed to measure the level of driving performance deficiency induced by performing a concurrent secondary task. Drivers are trained which lane to drive in by sign that appear on each side of the road every 150 meters on an average. The LCT was run on driving simulator that encompasses 346-inch LED LCD screen. The simulator was programmed so that drivers were able to preserve the required speed of 60 km per hour by pressing the accelerator pedal to maximum. Participants used Google Glass and Motorola Moto G to read preloaded text. 4 text messages were loaded on each device. Participants read 1 text on each device while not driving and 1 message on each device while completing the LCT, that is lane change test. Participants were trained to read the text noticeably and their own pace. Participants were instructed to scroll back and reread the message. This is the image of the simulator, how the experiment was conducted. They complete 4 trial: baseline driving only, glass no reading, reading with glass and reading with mobile phone. On completion of each LCT driver, participants completed the workload questionnaire. Results. Google Glass influences a range of life-threatening driving action and offers few benefits over the head-down display of smartphone. Finding from the event detection measures suggest that using Google Glass while driving can also result in a failure of drivers to detect information accessible of signs even when this information was expected, but does not impact their response time. Contrary to expectations, driver missed a great number of signs while using a Google Glass compared to the smartphone. But the time taken to pledge a correct lane change did not differ significantly across either mobile device or the dual or single task circumstances. It is possible that the Google Glass device itself may have created a visual obstruction either through the touchpad or the lens located on the right arm, which may have obscured scanning of the sign. In spite of Google Glass device allowing users to maintain their visual attention on the forward scene, humans are basically limited in their ability to divide their perspective attention across 2 sources of information. The head-up design of Google Glass does not reduce the interpretation text while driving any safer than on the dash-mounted or head-down display. My views. This research is a good attempt to know how external driving is affected by reading text on Google Glass. In my opinion, Glass is no safer than smartphone while driving. This study research is very clear. Though Google Glass claims that they located above the eye level, but in this study we can clearly see that user get distracted. This was a good attempt to know how extent user can get affected. I would suggest to minimize the use of any things which can affect the driving ability of a driver. Thanks for listening for my presentation. Have a nice day. Thank you.